Hello, my beautiful fragrance family. Dustin here, fragrance fan. Go ahead and do me solid and click that like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell notification. And I'm just going to keep on giving you guys these budget-friendly fragrance reviews, that 40-ish and under dollar range. Most of these are way less than that, and a good number of these you can find at your local rack stores. And I just recently did a video of a couple of nostalgic, awesome fragrances that were classic, that have been pretty much reformulated down to water with terrible performance, and you guys are pretty much on board with all of those. So I decided to go with the opposite of that, and fragrances that more than likely all of these have been reformulated, but they did a good job at still preserving the longevity and the character and the depth and the quality of these fragrances. And some of these might surprise you that I actually like them enough to put them on this list, and they have been reformulated. Some of them don't last as long as they used to, but by no stretch of the imagination are any of these poor performers. So let's just dive right into it. Oh, and some of y'all be talking about my hands and stuff, my nails. Look at these things. I mean, these things are cut up and beat up all over the place, man. If you knew that chaos I put these things through, man. Anyhow, I digress. Let's just go ahead and start things off with Azzaro Chrome, the metallic original from 1996. It's extra fresh, ginger citrus opening, soft, smooth florals with some woods, a decent amount of wood, some earthiness in the base of this thing. There's something about that super invigorating, uplifting ginger citrus pop that is just kind of ironed out a little bit with those smooth florals, giving it like an aquatic kind of a feel. Like, I almost feel like, I'm not sure if this is in here, but I feel like there's like lily or something in here, because it does have a wateriness and a metallicness. The metallicness can be a bit sharp. It can almost, if you overspray this, it can have a touch of sourness, but to me it gives it like character. And there's a lot of fragrances that are kind of modeled after this kind of DNA. And yeah, if you don't know what this smells like, you have smelled this before on somebody. Again, it's extra fresh, citrus, ginger opening, and the performance on this, like longevity, is a solid 5 to 6 hours, and for an extra fresh fragrance, it's good. It's kind of in the ballpark of like Versace Man Eau Fraiche. Like that, it doesn't smell like that, but it's like that kind of crisp, freshness with like a sharpness up top. It's got that kind of a thing, that kind of feel going on. The performance is decent. Good price tag on this thing. You find this thing at the rack stores for like $25 or something like that. I could be wrong, but I know it's not very expensive. I know it's quite affordable now, especially online. You can get this thing, I think, for like, yeah, like $25 or so. Yeah, I enjoy this one. I wear it. You see the dent I put in this thing, and it's great for the summer. Excellent for the summer. Up next, one of the ones that might surprise you a little bit, and it might not, is Halston's Z14. Loads of lemon up top in this thing. Spicy, woody, a touch of like dustiness and mossiness, and it's a bit balsamic as well. This thing is a busy fragrance. There's all kinds of different notes in this thing, but more than anything else, this has got a lot of that lemon. I got this on one of my hands. Yeah, this one right here. In the dry down, when it starts drying down, that lemon does start tapering off, but it still maintains a lot of that citrus, like spiciness with the citrus, like cinnamon spicy citrus thing going on, but it gets a bit dustier and woodier, and there's a lot of that pine, like pine resin, pine needles, like a lot of green pinery in this thing. Uber classic. It's like from the 70s. The projection on this thing is quite far. You do 4 or 5 sprays in this thing, you're just about filling a room, and the longevity is like a 7-8+ hour fragrance, and it's super affordable. This thing you can find for like anywhere between $15 and $20 for the big bottle like this. Great fragrance, especially for the 70s, and yeah, it's just a classic, old school, very masculine, super masculine fragrance. All of these actually are quite masculine, but I say that this one might be the most masculine out of all of them. Almost put some hair on your chest. So yeah, Halston Z14, borderline beast mode, good quality too. For what it is, the quality in this is pretty darn good. Like picking up the lemon and like I'm smelling it and picking things out. When I was making this list, I was just like trying to capture the different things. I wasn't going to say all of them because there's so many, but like the pine, I just kept on picking up some of that pine, like the actual pine needles. And it's halfway natural smelling when you actually are able to pick out those notes in this thing. So kudos to that. It's pretty impressive. So yeah, Halston Z14. Up next, super classic. Another one, extra old school. But man, this thing's got to make it in this video. Guy Laroche's Jakar Noir. Another lemony kind of an opening, but this one has like a lemon rosemary combination. That lemon rosemary combo in this thing is just gorgeous in my opinion. And on top of that, this one also is piney. It's similar to Z14, but not the same, but they have that kind of a similar thing. This one is a bit on the fresher, greener side. This is florally, a little bit of earthiness, but that lemon rosemary opening just does it for me in this thing. Still got it on my hand and it stays there. That lemon rosemary opening kind of stays. It's not as bright obviously in the dry down, but it's still there, and it's spicy. It's got all that spiciness going on in this thing. Fresh spicy, more fresh spicy than anything. But this one and Z14 I would say are definitely geared more towards the cooler weather. You could get away with them with this one, especially in a little bit warmer weather. But yeah, man, Jakar Noir. I think just about anybody can like this thing, even if you're young. It's like hard not to like this fragrance. Women too, they love it. And this one will probably surprise you guys that I'm gonna mention this, and I might even get some feedback for it, but it is what it is, because these things are subjective, right? Let's talk about Obsession, one that I used to not like so much. Smooth cinnamon, lavender, heavy dose of powderiness, green pine. Another one of those green pines, man. These old school fragrances really like to utilize that pine, and I think that that's like, you know, cedar and cypress and pine needles are super masculine smelling. This is masculine, but with that powderiness and the vanilla, it kind of goes almost in a unisex way, but this is definitely more masculine. It has a heavy dose of musk and a little bit of incense in this as well. But like I said, it is smooth cinnamon lavender powdery. This is very powdery, very old man smelling in a sense. But I used to not like this thing. I can appreciate it now. That cinnamon warm spiciness. It's kind of a cozy fragrance. Only for the cool weather, unless you're in like super climate controlled environment. But yeah, Obsession, super classic, super divisive, because a lot of you guys are not going to like this thing, I guarantee it, because this thing can be cloying. It can be very cloying because it's thick. It's a heavy. These other two, Z14 and Jakar, are like fresh, spicy, and they're dense, and they're loud, and they're sharp, whereas this one is like thick and powdery and more heavy, if you will, than those ones. But Obsession, the original, I dig it, man. Last but not least, let's go ahead and end things on another freshie and talk about the absolute timeless classic, still super relevant today, Issey Miyake DSy, the original. Super tart citrus, some mandarin. It's very green. It's fresh, spicy, it's invigorating, it's aquatic. Vetiver, there's that earthy, a little bit of earthiness in vetiver. This was actually my scent of the day today. Yeah, man, the tart citrus and mandarin opening is so refreshing in this thing. But that green and the fresh spiciness, and it's got an aquatic nature to this thing. This thing, it's actually decent for the gym if you don't overspray it, because it is a little bit sharp, but it's smooth at the same time. Some of the florals in this thing just ironing out some of that sharpness, but this thing is another timeless classic that is never going to get old. The performance, this is probably the lowest performing one out of all these. Obsession is like a 7-8 hour fragrance as well, but this is like average. I mean, it's like a 5-hour fragrance. I think back in the day this thing was like 7, maybe 8 hours. I think it was a bit longer lasting, but still I think that this thing is done good enough now that it can make this video, because it was my scent of the day today. I mean, it did good in the high heat, and I don't have to like reapply it all the time like I do like if I wanted to wear Polo Sport or something. So that's why this made it there, and it's just awesome smelling, man. If you have not smelled this one, I'm sure that you have, but if you haven't smelled it on purpose, go ahead and get your nose on this thing, the green, fresh, spicy, aquatic with that vetiver. It just has so much of a classic character, and it's a bit classy for being such a freshie. This is one of the classier fresh fragrances, if you know what I mean, like golf shirt, you know, kind of a fresh fragrance. So there's my little list of some old school fragrances that I feel deserve, still love today, that are still doing good, still have quality, still have decent performance, punch harder than the price tag that they're listed at. Some of these are super cheap and they just do so well. So yeah, that's my final thoughts on these old school fragrances that I think still do good. And with that, I'm out. Y'all be blessed, take care of yourself always, and until next time.